Welcome back to Behind the Caution Tape. I'm your host, CrashLit. Obviously, it is the winter break right now. A lot of sports not happening, but there are a few, especially basketball. And I actually am up in the Bay Area, staying in Concord right now. I was at the women's basketball game yesterday. We'll get into that momentarily. That is why I'm not in my usual studio that y'all used to been seeing me for most of season 2 of the show. So, before we get into everything, be sure to follow me on social media at CrashLit. See where I'll be at and all the latest with going on with USC that I'm discussing and who I've been interviewing. Then be sure to also subscribe to the podcast Behind the Caution Tape on Apple, Spotify, wherever else you listen. You can also watch the video version on my YouTube channel, so be sure to subscribe to me there at CrashLit. And without further ado, let's get into a bit of news about just especially USC football, because obviously there is a lot going on there. And I do want to start with, obviously there's been a lot of controversy about what has been going on with all the re-signings. Obviously, there have been a few more since last week, including Killian O'Connor, Ryan Sairi, Jaden Mayava, Tobias Raymond, Jakeem Stewart, Cam Crawford, Floyd Boucard, King Miller, and Kennedy Urlacher, and as well Jaw Jarrett. It's really a lot of exciting ones. I know fans are going, oh, it's ruining college football, like all this stuff. Well, there are a few things. One, guys have always had to sign their scholarship agreements every year, so they're just making it public. And two, as Cody Warsham, Senior Associate Athletic Director for Strategic Initiatives, has posted on both X and also spoke with Ryan Karchi about it at the LA Times, is that they're signing these anyways to get ahead to make fans excited. But then also he's also tweeted that it's like their NIL licensing agreements now as well they have to sign. So it's like, why not sign it? Something they got to do anyways if they're going to play. But then also hype up the fans at the same time. Because if you think about it, I've personally been super excited to see that Wayman Jordan's coming back, Jaden Mayava, Ryan Sairi, Killian O'Connor, Tobias Raymond, guys who were, really critical to the team last year. I like that they are, they're announcing that they're coming back, because it then excites you as a fan to be like, okay, all right, these guys are coming back. Yeah, obviously, bummer that, a guy like Walker Lyons is out the door. Probably going to wind up at BYU to play with his brother Ryder. Can't say I'm too surprised, wishing Walker nothing but the best, but then because, players, if they're leaving, they always post the graphic thanking their previous school and then announcing they're going to the portal of the draft. So I think it makes sense. And then I did actually want to, on the topic of Walker Lyons, like I said, wishing him nothing but the best. But I do think that, definitely a blow, but it definitely means that, Mark Bowman's going to have to really step up at tight end. And I'm really excited to see what he can do right out of there. So really, I think it's definitely going to be interesting to see kind of like how this plays out. Like I said, I'm excited for it. I know some people, Joel Klatt on the Joel Klatt show is saying that he doesn't exactly like it. He's like wondering, what are we doing? But I think from a fan perspective, it makes the fans excited for who's coming back for next year. So I do get that people are upset about it. And obviously, let's just face it, guys, the old way of college football is gone. This is the new era. So you gotta just run it. And as Cody Warsham said, and I quote, it's just treating this as the reality that it is, which is what it is. He's absolutely right. So it's like, if you're going to come into this era, you just better be ready to embrace it. So I think that's what USC is doing. They're just trying to embrace the times. You can run or you can embrace it. And if you run from it, probably not going to go well for you. So better off just embracing it now and just accepting this new reality that is college athletics. And speaking of that, in terms of just all the legalities and everything going on, I am excited to announce that I am interviewing USC. I actually had a special interview guest this week at USC. So it is none other than Jeff Schneider, who is the executive director, Center for Sports, Entertainment, Media and Technology Law, and an adjunct professor of law at the USC Gold School of Law. And I got Jeff on because of his expertise and knowledge of all these legalities and just different issues that are really plaguing college athletics, especially football. So I'm really excited for that interview to be released this Thursday. So be sure to tune in on Thursday to hear my conversation with Jeff and what he has to say about the current landscape of college athletics and where it could all be headed. So yeah, like I said, just wanted to get that out there. Obviously, bit of news now for the bowl game. USC will play in the Alamo Bowl a week from tomorrow against TCU. And really, the biggest news, I will talk more about this game in depth next week's episode. But really, the big news out of there is Josh Hoover, TCU's starting quarterback, announced he will enter the transfer portal. So, well, this game definitely, I know for a lot of fans, isn't exactly the most exciting. I still think it's an important game for USC to really, be ready for this upcoming next season and start getting ready, go into the offseason with the hype, get that number one recruiting class integrated into the team, and just get really excited. So I think it's just a big game, and USC really now needs to, come out and dominate, especially with Hoover out. So excited to see what that looks like next week. So we'll move to men's basketball, who got 2 wins this week, both at home at Galen Center. They beat UTSA 97-70, with Ezra Alzar leading with 22 points. Alzar also leading with 10 rebounds, and Chad Baker-Mazar leading with 5 assists. So USC played sloppy in the first half, and Eric Musselman, I was sitting courtside right next to the bench. Shout out to Felice, Jim, and Julie for the awesome opportunity to sit there. Was really not happy, especially in the first half. And I mean, it's no secret, if you're at a game, you can always hear Muss, but if you're right next to the bench, you can hear every word out of his mouth. So it's an experience, is all we'll say. And so, but then USC got up 9 by half and then just blew out the runners in the second half. And I'm really impressed with how Ryan Cornish played, especially with him having gotten a few starts lately and just really playing well. So it's been fun to watch him. And then actually, in the middle of the week, USC added guard Kam Woods, who played for Robert Morris last year, so with Amari and Dickerson, to the team mid-season because of just all the injuries. Elijah Arenas won't be back until mid-January at the earliest, and that could easily go later, especially given it's an injury and these things. I'm hoping he's back sooner, but injuries can take longer than everyone's hoping, especially with both Dickerson out for the season, as well as Rodney Rice, who was announced out late last week that he's out, that his shoulder injury was continuing to plague him, and that he was going to be out for the rest of the season. So definitely a few blows to the team. So really, just Musselman just needed another guy on the squad. And USC was interested in Woods this summer, but just couldn't really connect with his didn't really have good representation. So something like that. But hopefully, excited to see how Woods. Decided to just follow that game and just see how Woods was. Obviously, I wasn't there since I was in the Bay. I'm still in the Bay right now as I'm recording. But Trojan, but really just with all the injuries, especially ahead of the game against on Sunday, which was supposed to be against Brown, but was replaced by UC Santa Cruz due to the shootings at Brown. So the Bears opted to cancel the game, and then USC had to really, there was a narrow criteria, but really it ultimately came down to just not weakening the schedule, and something Musselman's been unhappy about, which is how even smaller margins of victory can still affect the resume. So really just ended up going with the D3 option. And the Banana Slugs actually shot well from the three-pointer in the 102 and really put up a bit of a fight for sure. But USC got the 102-63 win against the Banana Slugs, with Gabe Dines leading with 16 points, Baker-Mazara 7 rebounds, and Kam Woods coming in to lead with 6 assists. So it was tight for a minute, like I said, but then the Banana Slugs were not afraid to shoot the ball, but then just USC really played well. And I was really happy to see Gabe Dines have a good game, especially since he's struggled with holding on to the ball. But really, it's I want to see Gabe Dines do well because USC needs a true big man presence in the paint. As we've talked about, they have struggled with that last year. And it is something that really, is hurting them. So we will see what happens there. And then we'll move on to it was also career win number 250 for Eric Musselman as a head coach. And the team now moves to 12-1. They went undefeated in conference play for the first time since my freshman year, the 2021-2022 season. So up next, USC is off for a few days, and then we'll go travel to Second, number 2 Michigan, who is 11-0 on January 2nd. That game will be at 4 p.m. on Peacock. That's going to be a tough game for sure, especially with the slate that falls with Michigan State and Minnesota also on that same road trip, but also just with how the Wolverines have been playing. They have steamrolled most of their opponents this year. There's a reason they are the number 2 team in the country. So yeah, USC's got a break for the holidays and then gets back to work in the new year as Big Ten play kicks into full gear. Now move to women's basketball, who got a 86-39 win against Cal Poly on Thursday. London Jones leading with a career-high 28 points. Jazzy Davidson leading with 9 points, and Malia Samuels leading with 5 assists. And then USC just dominated this game from start to finish. The Mustangs were never in it. It was what USC really needed to do, especially after a tough loss to UConn last week. So it was really impressive to see with how the team came out and played. But then the Trojans then followed it up with a 61-57 win against Cal in the Bay Area Women's Classic at Chase Center in San Francisco yesterday. So Davidson led with 24 points. Kara Dunn led with 6 rebounds, and Samuels led with 3 assists. So it was a back-and-forth game all along. I thought Cal played well, but USC definitely could have won that game by more. It's definitely great to see them walk out with the win, but they could have. It was definitely a bit more stressful than it needed to be, and especially as the Trojans struggled with shooting and rebounding. They got the win. It definitely would have been good to see Kara Dunn shoot more, especially she's been proven to be a great shooter, and then Jazzy Davidson, I think, can be more aggressive in the paint and not pass as much, are some of my thoughts that I took away from watching that game and chatting with a couple other USC fans and staffers that I saw throughout it. And then obviously for the Cal Poly game, I did want to give another shout out to Julie, Fleece, and Jim for inviting me up courtside again, sit with them right by the bench. So that was cool. Definitely interesting contrast to how Gottlieb coaches versus Musselman, but still had a great time always, especially when you're courtside. It's really cool just being right there next to the action. So yeah, the team is 19th in the country, 9-3 overall. Could move up a few spots. So really excited to see what happens there. I did now actually want to circle back to something on football that I forgot to mention earlier. It was about just what's going to happen with D'Anton Lynn. Obviously, rumors are out there that Penn State's flirting with him again. Yes, it happened last year, but I think the circumstances are a little different now that James Franklin is out, Matt Campbell is in, and does Campbell want him? Although I thought I was hearing that Campbell's going to bring his defensive coordinator from Penn State, but now it seems like that's going to happen. And honestly, I mean, I'm not hoping he leaves, but also it's like, I think it's kind of just, you just got to take that wait and see and kind of see who USC can get. I mean, Riley's like, we'll just see what happens. And I mean, in some ways, does USC need a defensive reset? I don't think entirely. I mean, I think you guys have all heard me rage a little bit against Rob Ryan that I don't think he's lived up to the hype. I mean, he came in unhinged in a good way, but it was like, oh yeah, we're gonna do great things. Everybody look out! Like, yeah, like Eric Gentry's this absolute unicorn. He's got these lines, right? Yeah, I know, but you get the point that it's like he was funny, and I mean, I'm not taking that away from him, but he has not lived up to the hype. So you got to wonder, like, if Lynn leaves, what else does that cause? But really, I think it's like, I don't think Lynn necessarily needs to leave. I just think there might be a few changes on the staff that need to happen. I think Rob Ryan does need to go. I don't think that's going to happen. Obviously, we'll see what happens with this whole Lynn situation. I think that could certainly factor in. So did just want to bring that up in that regard. I meant to bring it up earlier, but definitely interested to see what happened. I think Riley's kind of taken we'll see what happens approach, but I'm wondering, does USC want to give him another contract extension, given that the defense did struggle at times? But I'm wondering, I think Lynn's the right guy for the DC job, but I think just some of the position coaches, I think especially Ryan, just there need to be some changes there. So we will see what happens. I think definitely this will be a topic of discussion tomorrow on my Voice of College Football show. So be sure to tune in there, see what's going on with that. Then a couple more topics we'll move into. We'll talk about women's volleyball and giving congratulations to London Wijay on being named an AVCA All-America Honorable Mention. So congrats to her on such a great year, really just having a really great redshirt sophomore year. So excited to see what she comes back and does next year. And then our final sport we'll talk about is men's volleyball, who had their conference media day, the MPSF, out at the Costa Mesa Marriott. So I went and covered it. Had a great time. Got to sit down with head coach Jeff Nygaard and senior outside hitter Dylan Klein and ask them about the season, where they came up short, and just what they hope to see out of this for next year. So really excited for it to have gone to that, but really then excited for this upcoming season. And I think what's really going to be exciting for this is just this upcoming season. Obviously, a lot of new look teams in the MPSF. The playoffs for men's volleyball is expanded to 12 teams, something that is much badly overdue and much needed to really just allow good teams like USC and UC Irvine were the two that got left out last year that probably should have made it. That definitely could have competed for a national championship. So really excited. But USC's season will kick off on January 10th with a game against St. Thomas Aquinas, and it'll be on Big Ten Plus, it looks like, at 5 p.m. So I'll be the first game for the Trojans. So if you're looking to catch them, it'll be at Galen Center, and excited for what's to come this season. So that's going to do it for us here on Behind the Caution Tape. Thanks again for everybody tuning in. Last week I went 3-0, so I'm 35-10-1 on the school year. 346, 129, and 1 all time. So 2 women's basketball losses and the men's basketball wins. So I'm now 7-1 at men's 6-1 at men's basketball, and 4-2 at women's basketball. So right now, because of everything going on, I won't be I won't be at anything this week. Kind of a dead week for USC, but we will still have an episode next week to talk about everything going on. So that's going to do it for us here on Behind the Caution Tape. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you next week. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, and I'll see y'all this Thursday for an interview with Jeff Schneider. Be sure to tune in if you want to learn more about just all the legal issues and just things that are plaguing college athletics and what could come of it. Jeff is going to tell us more. So be sure to tune in for that episode. It's a great conversation. I'll see y'all Thursday. Fight on.